episode 16. And since this is being recorded early, this is going to be recorded on my birthday. So happy birthday to me. I'm turning 26. But anyway, I, Shannon, the anime misfit, is always brought to you by Lamp, the guy who won't shut up about his hair.
Hey, I like my hair while I still have it. I'm gonna go bald anyway.
No, you're still very long.
Well, it's gonna be lost, don't worry.
And joining us this time, we have you. Tell us who you are and where you came from.
Hi, I'm Urban. I come from a place everyone comes from, I guess. No, I do anime YouTube as well. I have my own channel. Mostly do like anime analysis, I guess, is what you call it. So yeah. Happy to be here.
So yeah, today's episode is the big one. I have been planning it for a long time because it's a very contentious topic among the anime community. You would say that, right, Urban?
I mean, it depends on the circles. But yeah, no, it's generally always relevant in discourse, like all the time.
And that is the episode topic of piracy! So, piracy. We all love it. We all hate to admit that we use it, but it's the thing that keeps the world on giving in Animu Town. So a lot of stuff. The reason I brought up today's episode was that, well, everything going on with Kiss Anime, as we've talked about in our news segments, so you can like hit the card for that shameless plug. And like the switching of other companies and murders and sellings and all that big rigmarole. But I thought
murders.
And murders? No.
That's what I heard.
Maybe I did say murders. Maybe I did say murder. Maybe I didn't. That is for Lamp to decide, since he's editing it is. But I thought that for today's episode about piracy, we'd kind of talk about like the girth, like what our personal origins of piracy are, what our ideologies are, and how they relate to the anime community. Why the fuck do we think it's so contentious, or depending on the circle, as Urban would like to say. And yeah, we got to get to the meat. So I think that in general, without piracy, the anime community in the West would cease to exist. In the before time, we didn't have things like Crunchyroll or easy access to streaming.
Well, Crunchyroll also used to be a pirate site, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Crunchyroll, you used to be a pirate site. I remember, actually, I was like 14 when they were doing that shit. It was like a completely different website structure too. Like,
oh yeah,
everything.
I mean, I imagine. I actually didn't ever see Crunchyroll in that era.
I did. It was actually the site I used for so, like, look at me being a Crunchyroll purist in a way. I was using Crunchyroll back when it was a pirate site. It was a naughty boy site where naughty boy things happened.
I believe they have those too.
No.
They have naughty boys on Crunchyroll?
I mean, there's that...
I mean, they do, but...
I mean, there's that guy with the, there's that guy with the glasses and the mustache that's always at the anime awards. He's kind of saucy when you think about it. But I'm getting off topic. I simply think that back in the day, we only really had to rely on, like, fan sites and translations to kind of get us by. You were lucky if the anime you wanted to be translated got translated online. The rips were bad. The torrents were bad. But it's kept us all going. And yeah, places like Kiss Anime, which I'm still calling bullshit, as it's now it's become like a curse word in the anime community, like especially in the circles of those who stick to being legal only. Like, they don't like talking about the dreaded K site. I mean, we can talk about it now because it's dead, but I just found that interesting, like with YouTubers that I'm mostly talking about the YouTubers who are sponsored, because it does make sense that they would try not to advocate for that stuff.
Yeah, things become like a little more, I guess they're in a bit more of hot water when they have like a bigger sub count and they have, potential sponsorship deals and everything. Like, that's always going to be relevant at their size. So, I think piracy is a thing that it will always exist, and if you're going to sell something as a service that could be like downloaded digitally, like pirates, their anime music, whatever, it's just a matter of making like the service more convenient, because I think that's generally what people, go to piracy for, is convenience. I mean, part of it is cost, obviously, but I think generally it's mostly convenience because it's all in one spot. You don't have to pay for multiple services. You don't have to like buy physical copies of stuff, And it's I don't think it's like something you can really morally justify. It's just like but at the same time, like committing piracy is like littering, Like it's a very low tier sort of thing. It's just I don't really see a point in defending it morally, just more so saying that it's like an inevitability and that is something we all do. But yeah, no, I don't have too many strong emotions on piracy inherently. I just see it as like a thing that's going to exist, and you just have to work with that. So yeah, I mean that's my general thoughts on it. We can get into the details later.
You wouldn't download a car. Well, I mean, that's true. Like, piracy has and always will. People are going to find ways around regulation no matter what you do. So, I think in this case, it's just an example of, no, humans will definitely get what they want, even if you gate off what you want to sell. This is just one of many examples. And while it's nice to try to curb piracy, yes, it does hurt the industry. At the same time, it's like, if it's out there, there are going to be people who break the code, give you free stuff, and it may not be easy to get, but there's no way to shut it down entirely.
I mean, I think it's also relevant to talk about how much it does affect the industry, because I don't actually know, because there's no way to measure that, first of all, because nobody's monitoring how much they're downloading. But as far as like streaming services and how much they give back to animators, like I think they're pretty fine over there. That doesn't necessarily mean it excuses it. It's just more like I don't know how much of an impact it really has. No, go on.
Yeah.
Well, before we go ahead, Lamb.
Sorry, go ahead. Well, I would say like it probably does have a fair amount of impact, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have like it's breaking the industry kind of impact. I think it has more along the lines of millennials are not buying avocados kind of impact. You've heard those articles, right? Like I'm not.
No, I actually don't know what it. I mean, I know the avocado meme. I don't know.
I've heard the article about millennials aren't going to Applebee's.
I think it. I mean, maybe I'm just being cynical, but pirating, I think, to me has like the same impact the anime economy as millennials aren't going out to do this or this, and it's like, okay, well, it's not destroying the industry, but it could technically be considered to be an impact.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it has an impact for sure, but yeah, but weighing it is very hard.
But before we get too ahead in that realm of deep-rooted conversation, I want to hear about both of y'all's origins. Like, can you guys remember like the first things either of you watched pirated wise? Because both of you probably pirated when you were younger. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still do it. I mean, like that's not a secret. But no. I mean, just generally, like back in the day, I've only become like a bigger like weeb person, I guess, like more recently in the last few years. But I'd still watch stuff like mostly just through like YouTube or something, or just type watch blank in Google and just click on whatever site. I know I've probably like watched through a bit of Dragon Ball Z like that, but I mean, I also watched it when I was like a literal child, like on Toonami and all that. So yeah, like I don't really have deep-rooted histories in it. If anything, I would just pirate the hell out of music, That was like a
yeah,
thing, but...
back when like anime MP3s were not a thing, so you had to like rip and torrent the fuck. That was more my thing too. I watched most of my anime on TV and back in the day, and I did pirate once I got more of a teenager and I was trying to look for more stuff to watch. But if I had to choose what I pirated more, I pirated anime music because they would not let you buy it at all in the West.
I was just talking about music in general, but I didn't know. I mean, I guess that makes sense though that you can't really access like anime OST like super easy back then. I mean, now you could just type it in anywhere and you'll find it. But
What about you, Lamb?
Mine was actually, and I know this is probably gonna, it's out there. So, my mother and I used to go to, well, she used to go to the library a lot more, but we still do, and we would rent our anime DVDs from the library, and they weren't the most up to date show. It was like back after Yu Yu Hakusho was already kind of out for a while, Rurouni Kenshin, etc., that kind of time. But we were like, hey, we found a way to take the video off these DVDs, and we can just keep it. Okay, and then we did. So we have almost a whole 2 seasons of Yu Yu Hakusho, some a smattering of Inuyasha, etc. So our earliest times were like, hey, we can rent these and we can just copy them and just give them back. And we never did anything else with them. We still have them in the downstairs like collection.
What?
But that was my first tour into it, and then I found BitTorrent, and then I went from BitTorrent to Views, and then eventually I'm just, if I want to watch something, I can find like a site that streams it. But there's not a lot I would actually watch right now. But if I do, I learned some ways to find it.
Yeah.
You people
So
forget.
humble
I
beginnings.
forgot.
But that's crazy. You did like the raw pirating. You did the, like the
Yeah,
pre-internet
that's
shit.
why I started
dope.
pirating a long time ago.
I forgot that like anime
Yeah.
and manga, or should I say it was more recently. I didn't start seeing anime and manga as like viable things you could put in the library until I was in high school. Before like they wouldn't even allow it in high school because it wasn't seen in the same like vein as comic books. And then only recently, like in when I mean recently, I mean like the 9th grade. 9th grade was like when I started seeing anime and manga on the library shelves at school next to like the normal graphic novel books. I guess it just got so desperate of kids wanting to sit quiet and read that I guess they allowed it. But in like public libraries, yeah, anime was there. It was not the big titles though. Yeah, they were really old shit.
And I mean, I'm assuming you mean like manga a lot too. Like this,
We did rent that too.
Libraries you guys
We did rent that as well. We of course we couldn't copy manga, but we definitely rented our fair share of manga books. Again, they weren't the major ones. I would usually have to go to Barnes and Noble to buy them if I really really wanted them. But yeah, no, but I don't know. That just shows how old I am. Like, dear God, that's how I started. That's definitely ancient by now.
And technically,
I mean, yeah, no.
it's also technically pirating
it's
if you
not
like go
that
to
far
Barnes
of a
and Noble.
memory. I was just saying it's not that far of a memory for me either. Like, to be
Yeah,
fair.
I also like this would technically count as piracy, but I remember when my family would go to the Books A Million, which they're kind of dying as a franchise now. Rest in peace. They got eaten by Second and Charles. But when Books A Million was still a thing in my area, we would go to that store and for a few hours pick, in big air quotes, some books we wanted to buy. We did end up buying books, but like we spent most of the time reading the manga, and you know, you can read a manga volume pretty quick if you just
Yeah. You don't even really need to pirate manga.
Yeah,
necessarily. I mean, if that's the case.
I mean, that's the one way to get like free content without really buying it. I mean, I've heard of like bookstores that are like very against that, but most are pretty lax to you can just kind of read. It's like I don't know. Like most bookstores I know are kind of lax about you reading the product before you buy it. But anyway, I would like to talk now that we've kind of established our origins, I think I would like to talk about piracy in the today time. And I'm going to specifically target like our market of anime and manga. I know that the access question can be talked about further down in this podcast, but for now I want to focus on like the US and Canada, mostly the US, because we have the most access to anime in the West, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
No, that's probably true. I mean, probably UK, too. At least some of the bigger countries.
So my question is, would you guys say that because we have more access than we ever did before, there are plenty of ways to read and watch our medium. Do you think that there's less of an incentive, like before we even get into details onto why, do you think that there is more or less of an incentive to pirate?
I mean, it's contextual, I guess. Like, it depends on what you're trying to do. Because what I will say is, even though it's a lot more convenient generally for me to just get like a torrent file. When I was like rewatching Hunter x Hunter, since it's like 148 episodes, I just watched it on Crunchyroll. Like it's just easier that way. And it was already there. So it was just, in that case, it was more convenient than downloading all of those.
And if you have the free version of Crunchyroll, yeah, you have to watch ads, but it's free because it's completed. The actual.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes the ads on Crunchyroll were ridiculous. There'd be like 3 or 4 of them like in a row, and they're extremely long. But like, there have also been other times where I feel like I got like no ads, so I don't know how consistent it is.
I mean, I think I think with the Crunchyroll thing, the idea of like the ads being so many, it's like you need to pay for a membership, or else we're gonna keep annoying you with ads. Just like,
yeah, I mean that's just the name of the game in general.
Yeah.
on the internet.
Yeah, it really kind of is.
Like when YouTube drops the ad for its own product,
Yeah,
like saying, "Hey, buy YouTube Premium," and then you won't have to skip this 5 seconds like every time.
if they even let you skip the 5 seconds, it sometimes just gives you like the full ad, and it's like you're gonna watch the whole thing. It's like, all right.
Oh, I was talking like specifically about the one that advertises YouTube Premium.
Oh yeah, that too.
Because that one in particular, that bothers me.
Yeah, it bothers me too.
But,
it's like I'm already watching you, YouTube. I'm not gonna pay to. I mean, it's no, just no.
Yeah, but as far as is it more what was the language you used? Like more convenient,
more or less accessible to go leak. More
incentivized.
The word
to
was
pirate,
incentivized.
Maybe?
Yes, more.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, in some ways yes, and others no. Like again, it's complicated because if what you're watching is mostly like very basic, like 1 or 2 shows a season, you could just buy one single like streaming thing and it's fine. You can get it on Netflix or Crunchyroll or whatever. But if you're looking for, let's say, like older shows or something more obscure maybe, then you're going to have to like pirate it. Like there's no other choice unless they happen to have it. And then if you're watching a bunch of shows that like watch a lot of anime, then you might have to pay for one or more than one streaming service, which like I don't really want to do for like obvious reasons. So it really depends on the situation you're in and how you consume anime, as far as which is more convenient or less convenient.
That's kind of true. Like it really depends. Like me personally, I haven't watched a lot of anime even during general times. I won't really watch a lot of it only because I just don't have time to do it. But I will say Netflix, I appreciate that you can just watch that from your phone or whenever you want, because that encourages people to be like, hey, you can just pay for one thing. It's not that much a month, and you can just watch. Now, that being said, the biggest thing, of course, is when you pay for a service, what is selection of that service? What is the breadth of selection? Because if it's not much, but it's cheap, then you have to be like, well, even if you don't watch a lot of shows and you want to watch this certain show, then yeah, you kind of have to pirate it. But most of the time, if you get like a decent service, Netflix is a decent one. I'm sure there's a couple of other ones. You can probably get by with it if you're not too heavily into watching what's out. But if you really want to get what's new, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
As for myself, if I asked myself this question like 10 years ago, I would lean towards more towards piracy, because I believe that while we did have a legal Crunchyroll at the time and all of these types of services, it never felt completely accessible, You still had to like sift through like what animes they were even going to allow on their platform. And yeah, older anime was just a lot harder to find. But now, as of 2020, I think as of 2020, I feel less incentivized to pirate, with the caveat because I know where to get certain types of anime for the lowest amount of price. I think it's at the end of the day, I think it's knowledge and advertising at the end of the day of where you need to go. For example, older anime, there's this site right now called Retro Crush, as we talked about in a previous news video on the channel, and that's posting nothing but old shit. Like really old anime from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and that's completely free. Now, the caveat is you don't know what selection that is, but it has a great library, as I saw. And Anilog is this thing that all the places are publishers are coming together to post free anime on YouTube.
Yeah, isn't that like a Toei thing? I actually don't know that much about Anilog, sorry, but I remember specifically Toei was
Toei's
involved.
one of them, but it's a collection of other like
Licensors,
various,
and
publishers,
publishers that are gonna be posting anime of varying age and quality onto the site for free. Like Baki the Grappler is now on there first, and I remember about 10 years ago, Funimation was doing the exact same thing before anyone else, with posting subbed versions of anime on the Funimation YouTube channel. Like, I remember watching all of Oron subbed on YouTube from them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched Panty Stalking the same way.
So, like, it is based on the knowledge of where you need to go. And I guess in my personal experience, because I've talked about this before, is that as I got older with my own disposable income, it's just piracy started to become a real issue when it came to like the bugs and malware. I mean, 10 years ago, the bugs and malware were not that bad, which is something you always got to deal with when you have these pirate sites that where the viewer is a.
That's why you generally want a torrent now instead of going to like Kiss
we'll
Anime.
Get to the torrent versus
you know?
we'll get to the torrent versus pirate site war. We'll get to that. But for now, I'm like, I just couldn't deal with all the malware and malicious ads. It got to the point where they would double layer ads, make them invisible, and put them on the player, so you would have to trying to press the play button. And as I was recently informed, there are some ad blockers work better than others on different sites. So I had a frustration. I'm someone who goes legal more than I thought I would. Like, I feel like Netflix is kind of the meme of legal streaming, because are you really using your own Netflix or are you using your friend's Netflix? Because I'm using Lamp's Netflix. He gave me a profile.
I am further using my friend's Netflix, so technically it's kind of double layered there too.
It's the train of using someone else, using your friend's Netflix. So like, and they provide more than that. And Amazon, well,
if you have Prime, you can watch anime. And I have Prime, so it works. I just don't watch that much stuff from Amazon
not really
Prime.
Nowadays. Before you could, but that's before Amazon's anime strike happened, which died real easily, where you had to double pay just to watch the anime.
Yeah. The whole double paywall thing.
And then when they were gone with the double paywall, like, you would go to the anime section, and any new anime you wanted to watch that they had, you had to pay extra for anyway. So what was the point of getting Prime for anime if it's not really that accessible?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is like, with Amazon, it's really just better if you just have Prime already. Like you're using it. I mean, I feel like a lot of these streaming services are just that. Like, Netflix is probably better in many cases because it has like just a wide variety of things to watch that aren't just anime. And if you're exclusively into anime, I mean, I guess Crunchyroll. I actually don't know how much more they have than the other sites.
Crunchyroll has a
but I see conveniences with Netflix and Amazon that I don't see with like Crunchyroll, I guess. You know what I mean? Like you can have it for other purposes, and then that's just like an additional thing.
In general, I would say that. So that's kind of the reasons why I would say in general, that I believe it's a lot more accessible to go legal. It's not perfect. There's a lot more options. I will take this generation of anime watching than when we had to get fans translations, because when you rely solely on fan translations, it tended to not be as good. You got some really bad shitters.
Fan translations are either like the best things ever, like unmatched, like it's crazy, or they're just horrible. And there's like I feel like there's no in between.
Is that the one responsible for the people die when they are murdered? I don't know that. There's
I don't actually know if that's a fan thing or not.
I love that quote. I say it so normally nowadays. It's one of my favorite quotes in anime.
I think my favorite misquote that I had a screenshot of it, but I can't find it right now. But it's Sayaka from Madoka, and like the line is like, "I was really stupid," right? But they just changed it to "I'm really stupid."
Also,
That's
from
a
the
good
same
one.
Fate
Yeah.
show, the Archer class is really made of archers. I love that. Ah, Fate in all of its mistranslated glory. Anyway, I would like next question or next like little segue. To the topic. Since we're on streaming sites in particular, is there a streaming site that you think is superior than all the others anime wise, or do you think that just they're all pretty much the same?
I mean, just from experience, I would default to Netflix, but like I just don't know the catalog they have for anime, you know? Like if you're trying to look for anime specifically, I don't know. But as far as like a service that probably gives you the most, I think Netflix would be best.
I think
Just
I think
off the top of my head.
when it comes to like selection, I would almost say that it is less about what has the most and more about which one has the shows you want at the time. Because
Yeah, of course.
I understand that I like Netflix. Don't get me wrong. It's just it has a limited selection at the best of times.
Mm.
And I'm watching Agretsuko season 3, but that if I didn't want to watch, and there's some anime I thought would be on Netflix, and then you look for it, and it's like, oh, it doesn't exist at all on Netflix, but it's not an uncommon anime. Why is that? So it really, I guess, depends on, like, I know some platforms like Crunchyroll or Funimation, whatever. It depends on how they're licensed and if they want to keep it in house, then you have to go to them. So, there's no really best one.
There's not a best one, but I have three. Personally, from my experience, because I've had experience with a lot of streaming services, I have three answers. If you're someone who just wants objectively the most anime for your buck, you'd go to Crunchyroll. Unfortunately, they have a monopoly on the majority of the market, and they've always had the largest catalog for years. If you don't care about dubs or any extra bells and whistles, you'd go for Crunchyroll. If you're the type of person who wants quality and you have more people in the house that don't really watch anime, you go to Netflix. Because they would provide both subbed and dubbed anime. Yeah, their Netflix policy on like having seasons be a whole season late still makes me mad. When it comes to like actually learning to binge watch a show, they have the best binge watching like UI out there. Actually, I have four answers. The company I believe has the best customer service would go to High Dive. If they weren't eaten by Verve. High Dive is a very small company that focuses a lot on the more not so popular anime. They're all really Sentai works there are some popular shit on there, but like a lot of it's Sentai works anime. So if you're a fan of Sentai Filmworks titles, then that's the majority of what they have. They also have a lot of the OVAs and movies dubbed. They have a good deal, and they also are the cheapest by themselves. They aren't really a good service by themselves either. That's why Verve is a better deal, because it comes with High Dive and Crunchyroll, which is currently what I have, because you get two services for the price of one, among other things and other stuff that is on there. Funimation for me has always been. And I think Funimation, and I know a lot of people are anti-Funimation right now, believe me, I'm kinda am too. But if you're someone who wants English translated anime, Funimation is what you'd go for. Though I don't recommend doing it by itself, because you will not experience a lot of the market unless you pirate. And that's a trigger for me with Funimation. I want to just talk mostly about Funimation for a while. For me personally, I've always been back and forth of subscribing to them and not subscribing to them, because they have when they do it right, they have they have the best dubs in the business. They do. But recently they've been in controversies for censoring and scandals within their own staff, and we could talk about that all day. And they're also the service, in my opinion, that makes you want to pirate the most, because their selection is not very vast. I mean, yes, here's the thing. High Dive is slower. High Dive has a much lower library than Funimation, but at least High Dive staff and like the way they kind of run their business, at least from what I've seen on the surface, they could be shady as fuck, and I don't know. They're good at hiding it if they are. They're pretty reasonable considering how much it is. It's like $3.99 if you're a founder, or $4.99 if you're not, which is $5, and that's. Like I said, they're with Verve, so they kind of have a much more fluid and flexible deal. It's just Funimation with me is that because it goes back to that whole like tried and true argument of if you're a sub or dub person. If you don't care, then I wouldn't recommend solely Funimation. I would recommend them if they are the dub pick. If you can't watch anime subbed and you want to watch it just dubbed, Funimation is a perfect pick. Of course it is. But if you are more flexible to watching subbed or dubbed, then they're like the last place, like, well, second to last place to Amazon, because fuck Amazon. And it's just sad to say this because I do like Funimation as a company. They've always been like respectively on par with Crunchyroll in terms of name recognition and brand recognition. It's just they tend to be they're, in my opinion, they're too specialized. That's what it is. The word is specialized.
Yeah, they're just in a particular box,
they're in a particular box where they really don't. They can provide both on the anime they have. I'm not saying they don't have subs on their site. It's just sometimes you can get the same anime on another legal site with a larger library. But then again, since we're talking about piracy, so why would I think people would still pirate in this age regardless? Well, obviously the first one is accessibility. If you're not in the US or in these countries for reasons, certain anime just aren't available, and with the great purge coming, with like No Game No Life being first in the docket to get banned in some places, kind of sad. I'm basically saying this section to say I'm not judging anybody who pirates in general nowadays, despite it being accessibility. I don't want to get on my high horse and say if you pirate then you suck, because I'm getting tired of the whole if you don't pirate wars. You get ostracized if you pirate. You get ostracized if you don't pirate because people call you corporate shrill. Is it shrill or shill?
Yeah.
Shill.
No,
shill.
shill is the word you're looking for, yeah.
And
I generally think people are just too invested in the defending either piracy or going super hard against people who pirate, because like at the end of the day, it's not, I don't think it deserves the sort of theater, you know? Like it's a very simple, I mean, there's complexities to it, but at the end of the day, I think it's a very simple matter of convenience, accessibility, options,
I'm not going to pick on a teenager, for example, for pirating, because humble beginnings. I'm also not going to tease like a person from another country who can't access the anime at all. I mean, as that,
like, you'd probably be like a little tilted if, you know, a billionaire is just pirating shit, like, you know, but whatever.
Like
I still don't
Anime
really care
shut
that
down,
much.
it was revealed that most people that pirated on Kiss Anime were South Asian countries, and what was the other country? Yeah, South Asian countries and Indian countries.
They don't have the same sort of access.
Yeah, they don't have the same type of access. You'd think they would because of how close they are, but But for me personally, I pirate. My policy for myself is I pirate when in anime for two reasons. One, if I can't afford it, if there's like a financial crisis that's going through me, I'm gonna pirate if I have to. But I'm also going to pirate if the one anime I want to watch is not on any other site. For example, because I'm subscribed to a lot of things currently to watch my anime, or I have access to legal streaming sites to watch anime. But if, like, for example, when interspecies reviewers got sniped by media and put on the pirate docket, of course I pirated. I proudly pirate interspecies reviewers.
Yeah, of course.
Because,
well, I mean, you literally can't watch it on a streaming site now, right? Like you have no choice but to pirate interspecies.
The only exception is Anime Lab, and it's pretty. The Anime Lab. I speaking of Anime Lab, which is Australian, I loved how much they were touting themselves, be like, "Hey, we got interspecies reviewers. We're open that all y'all should watch it who live in this country, by the way." And then you watch, and then, of course, the pirated version is the Anilab version.
Mm-hmm.
I saw episode 3 once uncensored, and man, it's like night and day. It was some good shit. But with the Anilab version, it was completely unwatchable. Because the show's content is
it's racy.
It's very racy.
Yeah.
They literally had to fade to black like multiple times.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty insane. I mean, I think that's a much larger issue in and of itself, and not something I can really fault like the services for, because it's like more mature content. First of all, I'm surprised that like went as far as it did in Japan. If it was airing on TV in Japan, I don't know where or
It
how.
was late. It was normally, it was probably a late night thing. It was only,
Well, it had to have been, yeah.
it wasn't
yeah.
pulled on, it wasn't pulled off everything, just 2 channels, but it was on other channels at night.
Yeah, because they got their own perspectives on like sex and like nudity and stuff. But then we have like very different like
values,
perspectives on it.
Traditional values and morals.
I mean, we are Puritans.
We're good Christian
in
babies all around.
I mean, we're both conservative countries, but like just in very different ways. It's really,
to my
weird.
Understanding, all the anime we consider like great and for like adults tend to be like at late night when the 20 and 30 somethings year olds get home and do all nighters and shit. So
yeah,
stuff like One Piece or any kids anime would be on during the day. So that makes it weird.
And I watch both.
That's just saying something when something like interspecies reviewers that's supposed to be late night anyway would be pulled off.
Yeah, I don't know how it went in Japan. I feel like it's an American issue.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
like,
it's definitely an American issue, and that.
I also wonder how much of it has to do with Funimation specifically, because they were dubbing it, and there was like an argument put forth that people wouldn't maybe want their names associated with like a certain thing, you know, because they were dubbed cast on it.
I forgot.
That's just an idea I got. I think it was from Cartoon Cypher.
No, it was from Cartoon. No, Cartoon Cypher made a great video on it. He stated that in his video, voice actors who want to do work in other companies and mediums like Disney, for example, have an ironclad rule that you cannot work for anything racy, pornographic, or sexual. So, a lot of anime, like a lot of...
I would wonder how many anime voice actresses and actors can get away with that still.
So what? Because, in the Cartoon Cypher,
Funimation's dubbed some ecchi stuff.
Well, in the Cartoon Cypher video, if a role they have is too racy, they can still get paid doing the role. They just don't put their name in the credits.
Yeah, and then like under a pen name or
whatever.
Yeah,
they just pretty much do that. And they can still work for something like Disney. They just keep their mouth shut after that.
But yeah, that's a very particular case. I feel like it would be weird to focus in on that. It is interesting to talk to, but in just the larger discussion about like piracy and these like streaming services, like that example in particular was like a unique one.
Let me think of. I have a remember,
because there are other controversies.
Yeah, I have a memory that I will always remember as an anime fan, industry wise, that involves piracy. The Great Sailor Moon removal.
Oh, of course. That's peak.
That was peak piracy. That was peak piracy. How all of a sudden one day Japan was like, "We're taking our rights back for Sailor Moon. You guys can't have it now." And the race.
Oh, you're talking about that? I thought you were talking about like the weird like gay erasure
Oh
stuff.
no, we're getting to that. I just want Sailor Moon as a franchise, I feel like is a perfect example of like why piracy is needed and why piracy is still a thing today.
Why it will always
exist. Because Sailor Moon, in comparison to interspecies reviewers, is like the baby.
It's a good show.
It's like the good Christian boy to the guy that fucks another guy in the bathroom across the street. Wow, I pulled out that one.
It's a very weird analogy.
Gentlemen, behold corn.
I'll say this. I'll use this. It's the equivalent of a candy that looks like a cigarette to a cigarette that looks like a candy. There we go. There we go. It's basically Sailor Moon was taken off the market in the US for a while. I don't know why Japan did it. They were just like, no, you guys can't have it no more. So DVDs and current VHSs became rare, like really rare to buy. So what do you do when you want to watch Sailor Moon, a really popular series at the time? You pirate it. Pirate the shit out of it. It was the only way to watch it at the time. And yes, it was during the time with the whole cousins thing, but it was still the only way you could watch more of the season, especially anything past the first season. Then all of a sudden,
Yeah. I don't know how much aired on American TV. Was it only the first
it was
season?
only the first from what I can remember. I don't think they did. From what I can remember, they did. I confidently can say they did the original Sailor Moon and maybe Sailor Moon Stars, not Superstars. They didn't do Superstars because of the Sailor Starlight Scouts. Those 3 in that season that were, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were they were guys and then they were girls when they transformed, and they didn't want to deal with that, so they didn't do that season.
Oh shit.
They never did that season. So fast forward to like the 2010s, like it was actually pretty 2010s. Yeah, because Sword Art was already a thing. Sword Art was like way into like season 2 by the time this big bombshell dropped. That all of a sudden, for no reason, Japan was like, okay, you can have the marketing rights back for Sailor Moon, but who was gonna get it? And every company would not shut up about getting it. No one expected it, and Funimation specifically was like, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get our rights back. We're gonna advocate to finally get Sailor Moon back. But at the end of the day, it was Viz who got it. Viz on, and when I asked Viz at a convention I went to, they were like, we had no idea we were getting it. It was just dropped on our doorstep one day, according to the representative. And I was like, wow.
All right.
I mean, it's something else to be like, by the way, here's Sailor Moon. What? No take back. Good luck.
And I remember that everybody was still scared about if they're gonna do a proper justice of the series. Will they call the cousins lovers finally? Will they not try to censor everything? And I think their current dub, their official dub, is not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, I have to actually watch Sailor Moon at some point because like I'm trying to watch Maho Shoujo that isn't like Madoka. That's not just edgy. So,
You will marry that
have to get into
anime.
that at
You
some
might as well
point.
just get a body pillow, put Madoka Magica paraphernalia all over it, and then just marry the damn thing.
It's funny. It's like not even in my top 20. I'm pretty sure, but
It's
but no. Like I like dark magical girl stuff. I just want to watch the regular stuff at some point.
yeah. But like that's a good, to me that was always like the most prominent example of like why piracy happens, why it's still a thing, and despite as many legal streaming sites want to pretend it never existed, it exists, and I don't know if the anime community could not be here without it.
Well, and there's like also I mean, in addition to Sailor Moon, I mean, I guess it's been like that for like now it's fine, I guess, because people are taking care of it now. But there's like a lot of stuff that is just not available for streaming. You know, that you have to find through like a torrent or something.
Sometimes you're unlucky and the anime
there's
you
just
want.
no
Oh,
other
sorry.
choice.
Sometimes you're unlucky and the anime you want to watch just doesn't get picked up by any streaming service. I mean, I remember 5 years ago. I think one argument you could make 5 years ago was that one reason someone would pirate would probably be because there's too many streaming services, at least 5 years ago. There were so many small anime streaming services like Daisuke. Daisuke took One Punch Man hostage. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it was free,
free,
so that was the only caveat to that. I don't remember if Daisuke was free or not, but sometimes you'll have that streaming service that has that one anime that's popular, and they don't want to give it up. Amazon did that too during Amazon's anime strike. It was chaotic. So I can see people pirating because there were just too much competition.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's still relevant because like there's still going to be more, like there's more services now than there was like I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Most of them consolidated.
and
That's my caveat to that.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, there's a lot of crossover stuff, you know, like you can probably watch. I don't know how many like sites have like My Hero. I feel like it's at least 2, right? It's Crunchyroll and
Crunchyroll,
what's the other
Funimation.
one?
Funimation dubs it. So if you don't care about the dub,
yeah, of course.
Yes, it's a good dub. It is definitely a good dub. But if you don't care about the dub, you can just Crunchyroll it.
But yeah, I mean that aside, there the whole name of the game in that competitive space is getting the license to the most popular thing and not really letting anybody have it. So like you'll have very specific shows on other sites, and there's not really like consistency as to like what kinds of shows there are. Like Funimation has their niche of being the dubs, but everything else is just kind of like a mishmash of anime. But everything else is like a mishmash of anime. It's like it's all random. So if you don't have the one that has your like the one you want to watch on it already, like maybe if you really wanted to practice like the most ethical way, you can just remove your subscription to the current one you have and then get the subscription for the other one for the time being and just do that for a month. Like I feel like that's convenient enough, but it's still like a process. So like a lot of people just don't want to bother.
That's why I talked about. That's why I was bringing up slowly about 2020 feels like it's truly the age of consolidating anime streams, because first it was Verve, which was originally Funimation and Crunchyroll on the same platform, and then they had their breakup with Sony. Sony took Funimation away, and then they replaced it with High Dive. So it solves High Dive's problem if you just wanted that niche. And that's why I say they're more accessible. Mm-hmm. And then and then Netflix is technically consolidatable because again, the meme is you most likely are on your friend's Netflix, so you probably didn't pay for it anyway, if you live in a household. Mm. And then so that leaves Funimation even more kind of by itself. I feel like, and then no, by itself, because with AT&T wanting to sell Crunchyroll to Sony, it could go either way. If Crunchyroll gets sold to Sony, then they'll have the two biggest platforms in terms of quality on their side, and they could probably consolidate there. Or if they just don't like the price that AT&T is giving them, Crunchyroll could just be absorbed into HBO Max, which has been doing for all of its media things. Like DC is not anime, but their DC streaming service for Warner, which is unnecessary, by the way. Why did they make that? Why do they make a DC-related streaming service? It's just not worth the content. Like, it's good content, but not enough content to validate its own streaming service. That got...
Yar, give me your money, mate. That's why.
That got consolidated into HBO Max, and essentially, we're going back into cable again. Just cable on a subscription... on a subscription.
Yeah, it's just moved to the internet.
It just moved to the internet. So I see consolidationing happen for anything else, and in that mind, that would kind of make piracy as a option either more. I would say it would be even less if you only have to pay for one, or more if you really don't like what the consolidation's offering.
Well, I think it's gonna be a bit of mixed. Like I have mixed feelings on it because I mean, first of all, there's going to be more pirate sites taken down, like, sooner or later, you know? Like, Kiss Anime is just, like, the first, and as far as, like, big ones, I'm sure there's other stuff that's been taken down. But, those sites don't really, like, they don't deserve the money they make, necessarily. Like, they're just taking, you know, other content they didn't pay license for or anything, and they're just, like, uploading it, and they're making, like a bunch of ad money, you know? So, like, I don't mind that those are being taken down, necessarily.
Yeah, as I said, that's how business usually works, but
yeah. but in their case, they didn't pay for the product, you know. So as more like big companies sort of consolidate all of these anime, they're gonna start sniping out these pirate sites a lot more frequently. I think torrents will always be an option, but in the future, I see piracy maybe becoming like possibly less of an option. Like obviously you're always going to have torrents. I don't think they can do anything about that, and there's always going to be some site that sprouts up, you know,
as long as people keep their mouth shut. I feel like Kiss Anime was targeted because it was the face of anime piracy.
It was the poster boy. It's the poster child for piracy.
It took on the other pirate site sins so the others could live.
I mean, there's always going to be the metaphorical pirate bay. Like, there's always going to be one that you never hear about until one person mentions it and it's like, oh, okay, this place, and then no one's going to talk about that again.
Like, I don't think you can eliminate piracy entirely. I also don't know if I would say you should, you know, because internet freedoms, that kind of stuff gets kind of messy, you know. But yeah, I do see if nothing else, things are just gonna change. I don't know if this can be for better or worse, but I don't have much of a very specific perspective here. I'm just kind of talking.
It's okay.
I mean, it just depends on also in the future, like with legislation and potential changes, if they try to crack down on not just anime, but like internet media as a whole, which, to be fair, that's a possibility, then yeah, that's going to be a problem, not just with anime, but with like online media, online anything. Then, I mean, look, I would not put it past. I would not.
YouTube's already a problem.
I would not put it past the glorious U.S. government to try to do so. I just hope that it doesn't happen in the near future, but we'll find out.
This is why I love this episode, because Lamp finally gets to be on a soapbox.
Oh, I could go on for hours, but I really don't want to be like, fuck this. Like, no.
This was the episode made for you. Shut up.
But I think that, yeah, you're never gonna get rid of piracy, and nor should you try to, because then you're gonna get people trying to get back at you for getting rid of piracy, and they know ways to bring down your system that you didn't think about before, and that's why they hack and do different systems. You're gonna lose something in exchange. It's just don't try it.
All right. So,
I mean, I mostly see some of this stuff as just inevitabilities, I guess. You know. But yeah, I do think torrents are important. Like people brought up like preservation as a point for like, piracy, and I think that's relevant mostly in torrents.
Do you think?
At least it's more defensible.
I have a question. Since you brought up torrents, I was gonna bring up torrents. So I feel like there's this kind of like civil war between those who use torrents and those who pirate on pirate sites, as like a sense of pride, at least in the Western U.S. anime community. For those who do pirate, they're like, oh no.
I don't think either deserve any pride.
I mean, yeah, there's no pride. I mean, there's no pride in
torrents.
There's no pride in piracy. That with a capital no. It's just. I've been seeing that, like, especially with YouTubers who do advocate for piracy as the main form, which I kind of am against. Like, as I said, I think it's an inevitability that piracy will always be a thing, and we wouldn't be who we are without it. But I don't think it should be advocated as the main thing to do.
Well, I mean, I don't think you can really morally, like, justify it beyond just very simple, like, it's more convenient and I'm broke.
Yeah, but you've heard it, right? You've heard those, like, fights between, oh, torrenting is where it's at, man. No, man, you gotta go on Kiss Anime, man. It's much more easy. And I'm like, why are we doing this?
The thing is, like, I don't ever hear it the other way. I only hear it just, like, torrenting is better than the conversation.
I do more hear that torrenting is more based.
I've never heard it go the other way.
I've heard it very few times, but most elitists are, like, more like...
I mean, the convenient thing about a streaming site is just that you don't have to download, like, files, you know? Which, I mean, it's better for, like, space and time, you know? Like, you could just click it and go, and it's, boom, it's right there. And if you don't care about the quality of the image, you know? Like, that's fine, whatever. You could just take it there. And then torrents, obviously, like, you can get higher quality ones, but you have to have the space for it, and you have to wait for it to download, and people have to be seeding it. So there's, like, ups and downs. But...
Not to mention the fact that when you're downloading a torrent, you are definitely on the radar for, oh, you're downloading something illegal. We're going to stop that.
I don't think torrents are illegal. I think it's weird. It's like it's a fuzzy
This whole
thing,
thing's a fuzzy gray area.
in that regard. Yeah, like torrents specifically, I don't think they're illegal. I don't know how that works, though, to be fair. So I won't speak on it further, but I remember hearing
think
that
it's
before,
legal enough
that,
if
like,
you
torrents
just want to take your
specifically
DVD for personal use and put it on your computer to personally watch and not share it. I think that's legal enough.
Yeah, but if you like resell it or try to like, hey, I'm selling this episode.
Yeah,
then it definitely
well, that's the
gets
thing is like torrent sites don't make money. Well, I mean, I don't know if they do actually. I don't know how they stay up.
Donations and also private.
They might do Bitcoin if they're mining,
okay.
man. I always thought it was Bitcoin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I could be wrong.
That would make sense too. But it's not ads and stuff, you know. It's not the same thing.
I always found that weird. Now that you point that out, that is so weird. Like when you look at it, if you've ever been on a torrent site, you wouldn't really see much ads, would you?
I'm pretty sure it's low running costs because they have their own like network software, but also because they may have a way to donate. They never talk about it, but I'm sure there's like a link you
That's
can.
why
I would also imagine just like hosting files is different than like streaming. I feel like streaming would be more like it would require more power. I guess I don't know. That's just
I always thought it was the other way around, considering how YouTube is.
I don't know.
Considering how
actually.
YouTube itself has multiple buildings just to house all of the servers for everybody's videos.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like I think downloading files is less of a cost, I guess.
It is sort of, from my knowledge of IT and experience thereof, which, light enough, but I know the gist of it.
Here we go.
Well, from an IT perspective, from a computer perspective, if you are streaming something like Kiss Anime or whatever, yes, that is definitely going to require more upkeep because you have to pay for data, you have to pay for network, and you have to pay for the infrastructure to send that data consistently. The better the sending, the higher the image quality.
Yeah.
But when it comes to data files, like for example, if you're just housing a hard drive full of episodes of anime, you don't have to technically pay for data width or bandwidth. You just have to keep your storage somewhere, and as long as you don't have to pay a cloud service for it, it's essentially free so long as you can keep the physical server or repository running.
Right.
So in that case, that's just a physical cost, not a data cost.
Yeah.
Wow, man, I
It's like
felt so dumb.
It's a one-time.
I felt so
purchase,
dumb
and then you just
hearing
have
that.
That, for my brief foray into IT from the Google course I took, that's what I got from that. But yeah, no, that's it's definitely easier to go data storage, but it's also much less customer UI friendly.
I'll give you that much at least.
What was I gonna bring up? Oh, okay, so just in general, I just think that torrenting is a weird animal because like the reason I say it's Civil War because no one likes to bring up in the pirating circle. No one wants to bring up that torrenting is equal to and or less than streaming, but they always talk about it as like it's a different thing and it's like a different thing, and I'm like, it's still getting the anime for free. But is it simply because of the quality?
Yeah. It's still piracy.
It's still piracy.
You get better quality. I feel like you could find a lot more stuff on torrent sites than you can on like a streaming service.
I think I
feel
disagree.
like that's true.
I think it's the other way around. I feel like I found when I did pirating when I was younger more often. I found more stuff, even obscure stuff when I found it on pirate site than a torrent, because they are like Lamp said, if it is more of a physical cost, it would make more sense for them to like kill off any old anime that no one's really watching. Like they would probably like go like if they have 10 years worth of anime on their servers, they'd probably chop off at least the oldest 3 for space and put the new ones in if there's a server that's constantly keeping archive of the newest anime per season.
When you're talking about streaming,
I'm talking about torrenting.
Like, no, I think you had it backwards. It was saying that hosting like a bunch of streaming all at once it costs like a lot of bandwidth and takes up a lot of time, and there's like a lot of upkeep there. But with well, I mean, I guess if you're talking like if you're trying to make room on the hard drive for your torrent files, maybe they would knock some stuff off, but that generally doesn't seem to happen. I think just anybody who wants to preserve the old stuff, they just do it and keep it on a hard drive. And there will be like a lot of old shows that you can find that have like one seater, and it's like only one option for it. But I feel like I've always found them.
I probably was backwards. Plus, when I think about it, older series should, depending on the quality of where they got it, older series, in my opinion, are generally easier to put on a hard drive because they either don't have they don't have like back when they were made, they don't have like the up-to-date resolution, like.
Oh yeah, the file size is probably gonna be smaller.
The file size would probably be smaller.
Unless it's like a very long-running series or something.
I mean, we've gotten spoiled nowadays, like high definition, and now they want to talk about like 8K, and I'm like, no one's TV is ready for even 4K. I don't know what everyone's talking about. So like,
I mean, you'll have some other examples. Like there's some like the Evangelion files sometimes are huge. Because I was rewatching Ava recently because I had to rewatch it. And there were some massive files for that just because it's Ava, So they're going to have more high quality stuff. I think there's just been other like remasters done for it. I'm not sure if that's true though.
I will say from a practical perspective, if you're wanting to run a torrent site, it's a big if, but if you were wanting to run a torrent site, it is significantly...
Only hypothetically, of course.
It is significantly cheaper if you wanted to just have just a giant storage of files and then make a network or pay for someone to make a network for you. And then just leave it. Because if you want to upgrade the bandwidth, that's up to you, and that's at your own cost. But if you want to set up a basic network connection and just pay like a monthly fee, then just go ahead and just stick with that, because it's easier for you to run with, but also you have to keep it hidden.
Mm-hmm. Just have to make a couple like one-time purchases.
Yeah, and then once you have that physically set up in the beginning, you're fine. But then if you want to find a way to slowly make it better, then you can definitely invest in like more hard drives to store space or better network connections. But that's the biggest cost with just the files, is just the more storage you need. How many terabytes upon terabytes do you need to buy, physically speaking, in order to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be more than one person too. It's not just
definitely
like one
a
guy.
team. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. For sure.
And like when it comes to torrenting and all this piracy stuff, I think the thing that I always want to bring up on a deeper level now is essentially us Anitubers role into play in it. Not really. I'm not gonna really talk much about creation of videos through it, because you guys can figure that out in your brains. I'm more talking about kind of the street cred that's come from the Anitubers kind of talking about piracy or not. Because as I said at the start of this video, or conversation. At the start of this conversation, I was very cautious, considering how some Anitubers, in my opinion, are a little bit more reserved to talk about piracy than others, given their circumstances. Urban said it earlier, their circumstances and their contracts with certain people.
Yeah.
But in general...
Like if YouTube is your job and you would rely on Crunchyroll as a service, that you would make money off of, you would either not touch it at all or defend them.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
And for Crunchyroll specifically, they kind of make it really obvious when, as a business, you shouldn't be talking about their competitors, let alone piracy at all. Oh, backwards. Piracy, let alone their other competitors. Like, I remember remember that clip when Glass Reflection talked about Vinland Saga on the last Anime Awards, and how that wasn't on Crunchyroll, but they kind of cut him off jokingly, but basically saying that, trying to keep him on because like like it was made so obvious, it was kind of like passive aggressive in a way, but it's I feel like it's gotten more transparent. But for Anitubers in general, I feel like there's always been this kind of street cred like criticism against those who are sponsored and try to like hide everything about piracy or not talk about it much, to those who are very open about their use of piracy, and how we as anime YouTubers should be promoting and or celebrating the activity of it, like that fight with
are you referring to Uniquenameasaurus and
Malware's
Basement? Their whole
yes
thing?
I am.
Yeah, so that was like a big one.
There was that whole little fight between them about advocating against piracy on Mother's Basement side, and Uniquenameasaurus's argument about why piracy wasn't such as bad as he would think. I'm just gonna say that because
like his video was titled "Why You Should Pirate Anime" or "You Should Pirate Anime" or something like that. It's funny actually, like just looking back on them, because Jeff made one video in response to Jeff is Mother's Basement, by the way. Made one video response to Uniquenameasaurus, and Unique responded to him. And as far as I know, those are the only videos on it. I think it's an interesting thing, because I think Mother's Basement has an easier argument to make, and Unique has a harder one to make. But I think Unique's points were generally better. It's just a matter of the fact that we're in a situation where like that doesn't really work unless everybody's on board with it, and even if everybody was on board with it, there's no necessary guarantee that it would plan out.
Are you saying that it's idealistic?
It's a bit idealistic, yeah.
I kind of agree with you. Like, to Jeff's credit, he is on the easier side of this because not only is he sponsored by the very people that would advocate against this type of activity, but it's the direction the market does and would go if we want to globalize anime even further, which is starting to become kind of a scary thing for a lot of companies not with anime that kind of don't like its presence in the market, like with comic books and manga, and how manga is outselling comic books like out the wazoo. Woo. And that's a conversation for another day. But
yeah, I think it's like One Piece is coming up on Superman. I don't know how close it is. I feel like there's probably still a gargantuan gap there, but I think One Piece is like the second highest rated or highest selling
or graphic novel
at this point. Yeah. We'll call them all comics. They know what we mean.
But I do agree with a lot of Uniquenameasaurus's points, as I also believe when it comes to piracy that it feels like most people like actually in the industry, like over in Japan, and when I was working for a booth at a convention that sold figurines and stuff like that, they basically said when a person buys that a lot of that anime is mostly done as advertising or at a loss to like the game or to the game microtransaction and ultimately the figures. They want people to buy the figurines because that's the thing that helps the business grow more than anything else. So the argument is that as long as the anime is working as a promotional tool, regardless of what or how you watch it, piracy or not, then you'll be helping you'll be helping those creators if you just buy the merch, essentially. Kind of like what Anitube, like what YouTubers do now with their merch and stuff like that. That's how I see the relationship with piracy to the creators now.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes it tough to make a call on. Again, like I don't really think there's much you can do to defend piracy beyond just, convenience, but as far as like how much actually goes to the creators through the streaming services, it is kind of I feel like it's small. I don't really want to say without looking at the numbers myself, but the general consensus seems to be that it's pretty small how much of an impact these streaming services have, and that they make much more money off of product. Like figures and merch and stuff like that. So that's why I think like the act of piracy is just like a very low level like crime, like just like littering, like I said, like or jaywalking. Like it feels like so insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but there's not really a great like justification for it, beyond just, again, convenience. As far as like YouTubers talking about it and sort of gaining, you have like the anti-Funimation and Crunchyroll people gaining a lot of clout, right? And they're always gonna have that because like the system, as it is always like it's just like this entity that you can attack. It's not like a person. There's people that work there, but like going against the establishment, like a lot of people can just.
We got something for this. Lamp, do the thing you did. Do the thing. Do the thing. Do it.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't want to say screw the government and screw Uncle Sam, but I'm going to fight against this system. I'm going to assert my rights, and I'm going to take what I need when I need. I don't care if it seems immoral.
Yeah, there we go. That seemed about right. So, yeah, when it comes to Anitube, I've been on the fence about this kind of pseudo-civil war between those that are sponsored and those that are not, like the anti-legal streaming camp. It is a lot easier to fight the man and stick it to him, but I feel like it's unfair. I feel like in a way it is unfair to like unabashedly bash a lot of these creators who are sponsored by Crunchyroll, Funimation, and the like.
Well, if you're talking about like going after creators specifically, because I was just talking about like the actual streaming services.
I was talking about.
But if you're talking about like the backlash to like the mother's basement video or whatever, I mean. It's just a matter of how the people handle themselves. Like, nobody's going after Glass Reflection for his views on piracy, which is generally pretty, like, against, Like, he's pretty staunch on, buying, paying for the streaming services and buying the physical releases and all that. but nobody goes in on him, you know. I think it's a matter of how you carry yourself, because some like Jeff's video was very, very like shamey.
It was
like,
shamey.
It was very
It
like
was
looking
shamey.
down on people, and that's what they were responding to. I think.
I completely agree with you. I think it's how you carry yourself as someone who is sponsored and tends to be in line with a lot of these companies. Like the reason, but but the reason I said unfair in terms of backlash is that they kind of envelop. I think for a time, people were enveloping Jeff's kind of response to every every Anituber.
No, it's a big meme at this point.
Yeah, that like that like certain Anitubers are corporate shills that don't listen to reason, and I'm like, that's kind of unfair for everybody.
Yeah.
Jeff was the one who.
It's just a big narrative.
Yeah, Jeff was the one who did the big oopsie of kind of being kind of mean, but like someone like Last Reflection has a very personal stance on it and how he won't watch an anime if it's not available for legal streaming or legal buying of the DVD. Yeah. So, and he doesn't get flagged because he keeps a lot of his personal, you know, to himself. He doesn't try to force his ideology. I mean, he kind of pushes you gently in the right direction.
Yeah, he definitely like encourages like purchasing, which is totally good. Like that's fine. Go and do your thing.
And I feel like other Anitubers do that too. Some don't. Some do. And I feel like it's the way you say that message. As for those on the other side of the camp, I feel like their megaphone has gotten too big. And like it's become.
Oh, you're just talking about like the resistance against the corporate shows.
Yeah, like I said, I'm neutral because I do both. I legal stream a lot of my anime, but I will pirate it if it's not on that site, and no one can shame me because the one or two anime that I wanted to watch aren't on the damn legal streaming sites, and I'm not gonna wait a full whole season on Netflix just to watch it. But I do feel like the anti-piracy camp can be a little have too much big on their megaphone sometimes.
The anti.
Stick it to the man group.
Are we talking anti?
Stick it to the man group. The anti.
Yeah, you said anti-piracy. You mean like
anti-Crunchyroll, pro-piracy camp.
Funimation and all that.
Because the other place I want to be brought up was which Anituber was the one that started the whole controversy with, conversation about the animators community, or was it Digibro? It was probably Digibro with
the animator. Well, what do you mean the
animators dormitory project and going on piracy because you can just give their money on Patreon. Trigger had a Patreon. I think it was Digibro.
Well, there's I feel like there's a couple things there. Well, Digibro did talk about
I think it was one of them.
The trigger Patreon situation, and why she's like really into it as an idea, because it has like a culmination of all the stuff she like wants. Like she watches all the trigger stuff. It has like her favorite people in the industry, right?
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to be like.
No, you're good. It's a transitionary period.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've even seen Digibro's channel, and I just realized, she's going through a transitional phase. Good for her.
She's going by Digine, by the way, for anybody that's like, just finding this out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like that was a case there. I know Uniquenameasaurus in his follow-up video to Jeff's, he had this whole meme of donating to the animators dormitory to show that people who pirate stuff aren't, just a bunch of broke immature kids, that they would actually put their money where their mouth is. That was a thing. But yeah, aside from those two examples, I don't know specifically. If you're talking about something else, I actually don't know what it is.
I just always had this feeling that the stick it to the man group, that while their argument was harder to advocate for, they definitely took hold of the community zeitgeist for a while.
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, it's now becoming very, very like exhausting to listen to.
Very like.
Because
very like what I didn't hear you about that.
Oh, it's just very exhausting to listen to at this point.
I think it's
because it's just the same points.
I think it's because of how more accessible anime has gotten. There's been more legal streaming sites for free for different types of anime. Like I said before, Retro Crush is specifically for older titles or unpopular titles. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say it's like a museum, but it's definitely a place where if you want to find some obscure shit that probably no streaming site would want to hold anymore, it's probably there. And it's a good library so far. So I'm kind of glad that whole persona or zeitgeist among the anime community has quieted down. Cause say what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's quieted down, but
I don't hear it as much.
fair. There's a lot of smaller YouTubers that just kind of jump ship on it.
Mhm.
You know, it's become more common to just react to like things on Twitter.
It's always
You
become
know,
the thing
just
to react
post
to
it.
things on Twitter. I think it's mostly because since
Like just breaking
yeah,
news kind of
it
stuff.
also could
you
just
know?
be because again, anime is becoming a globalized thing. It's being highly recognized. It's being highly recognized
Yeah.
by the mainstream at this point. So if you're a creator,
Yeah, it's a lot
if
bigger.
you're a creator who wants to one day be sponsored or with products and stuff, you need to be a little more understanding of the side that does legal streaming. I feel like though I do feel like though some like the industry in general is a little bit more lenient on I feel like it was more hard ass on if you say any naughty word like there was I feel like the meme of you couldn't say kiss anime you couldn't say kiss anime at all.
I mean, I actually don't know about that. Are you talking about like in videos that are sponsored by people? Or is it just like if you say it, you won't get sponsored?
Yeah, like if you say the word, the dreaded, it became like a curse word. It became the curse word of the anime community, kiss anime.
Yeah, I actually don't know about that. I don't know anything about
That's
that.
what I mean, that's what I feel. I'm not gonna, this podcast is not really about facts. It's about feelings, y'all. I'm just going by what I've been remembering out of my head in my otakudom. And I remember in my otakudom when I was a little bit younger that on YouTube, maybe it was mostly with the sponsored channels, but like in general, you could not, I mean, you definitely couldn't link a pirate site in the comments. I did that once and I got my Twitter got banned for a week because of that.
And because you linked it
in my Twitter,
comments?
like
or like in a Twitter reply?
In a Twitter reply, someone was asking me where can I watch interspecies reviewers. So I linked it. I got banned for like a day or a week.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, maybe interspecies is more of a special case. But anytime someone asks me where do I watch something, I just tell them to Google it. So I don't know. I don't think I've ever dropped a link or told them Crunchyroll or whatever. I feel like most people could find anime if they're actually looking for it. That being said,
we move on to today. In today's time period, as Kiss Anime is now gone, rest in peace. And it's
or pieces, depending on your perspective.
And it seems like a more calculated move, as Crunchyroll is going to be maybe not sold off to Sony for I don't know how many money. But like I feel like streaming sites are like the senior skip days of the anime community. I don't know if anybody remembers this if they were in high school, but in high school you had senior skip days where the senior class would collectively supposedly secretly all like decide on the day where all the seniors would just skip a day and go together to do something, or just not go together and just skip that day. But in most cases, people would find out. Someone would be the snitch and basically start talking about it too much, and that would spread. In my school, it got to the point where a week in advance, the entire school board noticed it, knew about it well in advance. Some people didn't keep their mouths shut. Every kid in school knew about it. And on the day it was supposed to happen, they basically said a nice passive-aggressive warning that anybody skipping that day would still count to their attendance. Blah, 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 blah. But the reason I bring that up is that if people don't want their favorite streaming site being sniped next, they need to keep their mouth shut about it. I'm seeing a lot of memes about a certain other site that everyone's like, this side is better. I know Jack is boys knowing what side I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know
so everyone's like, this, like, oh, Kiss Anime? Oh, this site is where it's at. And I'm like,
yeah, go to huganime.net.
Huganime.net. That's what we'll say. Yeah, like everyone's like, your hug animes will get sniped the moment it'll become the new Kiss anime, and then it'll get sniped because you didn't keep your mouth shut. So that's my advice to anybody who wants to keep their favorite streaming site afloat. Lamp, what's got any extra, got any? Give me, this is great because this is my birthday video. The one thing I wanted in my head for this episode was that Lamp would actually say the most he's ever said. And I was right! This would be the episode where he says the most he's ever said in one sitting. So...
I actually have mild knowledge of this. That's a record for me.
Well, what do you think of all of this? I know...
I think that a free and open approach to anime, whether that be torrenting or pirating or about outright buying, it's important to have the alternatives. For what would our world be without the free spirits who venture out on the ocean and take what they need for their own gain? Because in the end, it makes a new land, a new freedom, a new opportunity. Yes, it's costly for some, but that cost is given to someone else. There is no such thing as a one-way take. There's always a give to someone who needs it. Therefore, be willing to sacrifice some if it means for the bigger picture it stays alive in anime as a whole.
Wow, you did all of that off the top of your head, didn't you?
Yes.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Let's see. So since we've talked about everything I want to talk about in terms of piracy, since Urban is still here, let's talk a little bit.
Hello.
Let's talk a little bit more about you before we head off. Since a good portion of this series is to highlight our guests. So why the fascination with Kakogarashi? I had to ask why.
Oh, there's a deep rabbit hole for that. I mean, at the core of it though, it's the most interesting series in how it's constructed and how everything ties into each other. 'Cause conceptually, the concept of it is already a 10 out of 10 concept for me, right? And the way it's executed on. By the way, I don't know how much you want me to talk about specifics because the whole meme with Kakogarashi.
I mean, you're tied. You're tied to Kakogarashi. That's been your brand. That's who you are. You are the guy that's kept it very kino in this community, in this anime community, and yes,
I try
and I love the series. I really love the series. It's one of my favorite anime. But I wanted to know,
okay,
what's your dealio that you've had to make your own channel logo in? When I watch you do edits, edits in the that's how I found you. When I watched you do edits for The Right Opinion, every time I saw you do edits, I was like, I knew it was you. I was like, that's him.
Yeah, I put a Yuki in every single one of my Right Opinion videos that I edit. But yeah. So Yuki specifically, she is just a really interesting character. I really like her design. I relate a lot to the sort of struggle she goes through. Obviously, I don't have PTSD, or psychosis or anything, but it's more I enjoy that she's able to make the move forward where it's really difficult to
that scene at the door,
and in the moment where she
talking about the scene at the door in the last episode.
The door and everything that follows that, because it's if I could sum up the theme of Kakogarashi, I guess, at least in the anime, it would be the having to come to terms with the world and how it is, and embrace it for all the suffering and the pain, and continuing to move on anyway, and exercising optimism to look forward. And that's why I like Yuki specifically. It's a very core belief system, I guess, that I just have, So she really resonates with me on that level. And just in addition to that, the series specifically, I feel like I almost like the construction of the anime more than any one thing in it. It's hard for me to describe in very short amount of time, but that's why I got to make more videos.
As a creator, could you tell me what was your favorite video you've made and your least favorite video you've made?
Yeah, let me look through my videos actually. As far as least favorite, it has to be an older one. I think generally I just get better as I make more content.
It's pretty understandable to pick on the old shit.
Yeah, let's pick on the old shit. As far as like a favorite video, I don't know. Much of my recent stuff that aren't AMVs or the Cypher video I did,
Oh, I'm looking at it.
I think are generally my best content. Like the problem with horror anime and forward. So the problem with horror anime, Gakugarashi's unappreciated creativity, Waishiki haunts me, and Watamote is hopeful. Actually, like I think those are some of my stronger videos
Would
right
you
now.
say one of those videos is something that someone new to your channel would need to watch or should watch?
Well, I mean, you should watch all my
yes, of
content
course.
because I'm the best at everything. No, but I guess like if I could say what is unique about my perspective is I like to do things in response to like a consensus or like something meta, which like all of those videos do. So like Shiki, I'm responding to like a take that I've seen and analyzing it, you know. The problem with horror anime is a response to sort of the problem with horror anime discourse is a response to just the sort of general complaints you sort of see about horror anime that sort of manifest in Anitube. And like Watamote's Hopeful is sort of a refuting of its themes because like it gets painted as this very like cringy, like hard to watch experience, even though I think like the point of it is to sort of like look at those experiences and realize that they're kind of insignificant in the grand scheme of things, and you could just kind of laugh at them.
I thought it was a pretty good video you did because it definitely changed my view on how the show ended because I felt like there was more that needed to be said. Obviously, the manga. I feel like the manga's way more. The
manga does like go crazy.
It's way more. It's definitely more fulfilling. I didn't think it'd get that hopeful in the manga. So your video was very well themed on that, and for someone who just watches the anime, I'd never had a good like personal settling with the ending. I just didn't like how it ended because it just felt like, well, that's it.
It does kind of just cut abruptly. I will say that much. As far as like my worst stuff, it's probably like my Rosario Vampire videos, which are still fine.
I was staring at it.
But like I hate that people still watch them. Like I want them to watch my other content so bad. I mean, they're just my oldest stuff, and I was kind of coming into my own of figuring out like what kind of videos I want to make and how I want to do them. You'll notice the style of those videos are very different.
Your editing has definitely evolved over the course of the time from that Rosario video onward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Without question.
It's definitely better. It's definitely better than our editing anime. It's definitely better than our editing, but we do our best on here too sometimes.
All editing is just experimenting and looking up tutorials. I mean, there's more to it than that, I guess, but that's basically what it is. Like, you just kind of have to play around, and you have to enjoy like visual, like language, I guess. You know, I feel like a lot of Anitubers are just like bloggers, and then they have to put anime clips on their videos because people watch videos they don't read blogs, which. You could still do that, but like I hear a lot of complaints about editing from these types, and I've never understood it myself because I like the visual
chemistry.
You know, yeah, exactly. And the musical as well. I really like implementing music and like the pacing of the videos.
I personally think it has something more, at least from how I feel. Sometimes I feel like it has more to do with the pressure of the algorithm. If your intent is to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which mine isn't necessarily.
I mean, like I'm looking at.
I just kind of make stuff.
I mean, knowing because again, I found you editing for other people. That's how I found you first in the community.
Yeah, I mean it's mostly right opinion. I don't really I don't really like commission myself out all that much.
I mean, it's become the thing to do in the anime community to commission for other people if you can edit like that, and that's how people kind of learn.
There is, I forget who it was. I think it was Giguk's editor who was saying, all Anitube editors are failed Anitubers.
Oh wow!
It was really funny.
I would disagree at that. I never intended to become an Anituber.
Ha ha ha! With the other meme of, I'm not an Anituber. I'm a YouTuber that just happens to do anime. For some reason, the Anitube moniker is still very besmirched. But again, that's a topic for another video. So I feel like this is a good time to stop for the day. We got over the big pill that was piracy. And on my birthday, no less. I don't know why this was a topic for my birthday, but I wanted it to be big and I wanted it to be proud. So once again, Urban, thank you for coming on. And again, can you tell everybody where they can find you, talk to you most, or anything, any plugs you want to do? Shill yourself out, man.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. My YouTube channel is just Urban the Myth. And my Twitter is urban_myth. To be really confusing. But the link is in my YouTube channel, so you know, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's all there.
Oh, that was it. Oh.
yeah, no, that's all I got. I mean, I got a Patreon that I perpetually freeze because I'm not making content right now. But aside from that,
as for the rest of us, I mean, I'm gonna be a shill too, since you know, my birthday and all. You should like, comment, and subscribe to the Anime Misfit today, where we're this close to 800 subs. I can feel it. I'm so close to it. You gotta give it for me. That is my one wish. I do not know what the future holds as of the time of this writing. It's currently like the 31st, so as the time of this recording. So I hope we have already made there by when this video comes up. But yeah, do all the doolio do's. There's really not much update I have to the channel, but that's all I really got. Lamp, do you want to round us out here?
I do not have any parting messages aside from drink your daily dose of 3 mugs of coffee, because
what kind of coffee? That's the important part.
The one that makes you shake the most.
Okay. Anyway, this has been the 16th episode of CCP. This has been me, Shen, Anime Misfit, Lamp, and Urban, and we meet you all adieu. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.